So, one of the most dominant forms in pop music continues to be the verse chorus form. And if you've listened to any popular music, you'll be very familiar with this. Indeed, you may have already heard of the song sections, the verse and the chorus, in which case you will have heard a verse chorus song. So, the basic verse chorus is comprised of two musical sections. The chorus embodies the main musical motif, the lyric's main message and the song's title, and the first verse acts as an introduction to the chorus, with subsequent lyric verses developing the plot. A lyric message that bears repetition is best treated in the verse-chorus form. The form is also ideal for plots that feature a change of time frame and or setting. Generally, either one or two verses precede the first chorus, with the song's title generally placed in the chorus's first line and less frequently in its last line. So it's up to you how many verses and choruses you have in your song, but typically you might have two verses and two choruses. It's up to you though, because it depends on how long your song is, how long you're aiming for your song to be, and how many verses you need typically to develop the story that goes into your song. The first verse normally sets up the chorus and then subsequent verses develop the story. So it will depend on how many verses you need to reach the conclusion of your song that you are looking for. This can be open to experimentation. It's not prescriptive. You might initially write two verses and then decide that actually you want to take the story of your song a bit further and therefore you need an additional verse. So that's something for you to experiment with, but certainly you will want two verses and two choruses to get going. There are also some variations you can make to the verse chorus form. So you could introduce a bridge. So this is a third section that is typically 4 to 8 bars in length, and it serves as a contrast to both the verse's words and the chorus's melody. The bridge generally arrives after the second chorus, but that's a tradition and not a rule. As I always say, there are no rules and only guidelines when it comes to songwriting. A bridge can often also feature a guitar solo or another instrument solo or something to that effect. So it can really be a point in the song that you can experiment and vary what's already happened in the song. There's also another variation on the verse-chorus form, and this introduces a climb. So a climb is a pre-chorus 2 to 8 line or bar section that musically and lyrically seems to push out from the verse and climb up to the chorus. The form may or may not also contain a bridge. So a climb, as suggested, could also be called a pre-chorus. It leads you into the chorus, so something distinct from the verse but that follows on from the verse. Sometimes it can be hard to define, and so some people may say, well, this is just part of the verse, or this is just a refrain in the verse. But if you think that maybe there's too much of a jarring nature, a jarring move from your verse to your chorus, you could consider a climb section, a pre-chorus section that links the two. Maybe if you're thinking about chord progressions, say, it has a rising escalator chord progression, that is, you're putting the chords in Roman numeral order that lead up to the chorus, for example. Typically in your chorus you would have the highest melody points, the highest note in your song, and so maybe the pre-chorus or the climb introduces notes that are somewhere between your lower verse notes and your higher chorus notes to bridge that gap, if you will. But again, you might not need one, so I would begin with a simple verse-chorus section and then decide whether you want a bridge or decide whether you want a climb section between your verse and chorus. If you want to listen to the full podcast, then head over to writeasongnow.com and sign up to my weekly emails. And if you want more clips like this, then watch the playlist on screen now.